Answering your calls for consumer help. That's 5 on your side.
Live from Tobacco Road, it's a battle between two ACC powers as 10th-ranked Duke looks to snap an 8-game losing streak to Tim Duncan and the second-ranked Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Hello, everybody. I'm Gus Johnson along with Billy Packer as Wake is all set to take on Duke. And, Billy, a lot of switching in the top 10 nowadays, and Wake Forest with an opportunity to go higher.
Well, so far today, we've seen Kentucky go down, Villanova go down in the top 10. Wake Forest is playing in a place they've had great success. 4 in a row here. Tim Duncan has been sensational against Duke University. He'll have to keep that up today because Duke is certainly capable of beating the Deacons here.
All right, a look at your starting lineups for Wake Forest. Tony Rutland, second leading scorer on this team. Jerry Braswell leads them in assists. Meanwhile, for Duke, Steve Wojciechowski has been the best player on this team so far this season. He leads them in assists and also steals. And we are underway from Cameron Indoor Stadium. The Duke Blue Devils, 11-3, 2-1 in ACC play. Wake Forest, a perfect 11-0, 3-0 in the ACC. Capel.
Good rub off a solid screen by Jeff Capel to go inside, taking the ball somewhat at Duncan.
Blue Devils picking up man-to-man full court. Here's Rutland over the half-court line, guarded by Wojciechowski.
They will try to make Rutland drive with the ball. They don't want him to set up and take his three.
Here's a man setting up, turnaround jump shot on the baseline. Duncan, short, gets his own rebound, and he pounds it down.
Great job by Perall to keep the ball alive in the offensive boards. Tim Duncan, with those sensational hands, puts it away.
Averaging 19 points and 15 rebounds, looking for his 21st double-double of his career. 21st straight. Here's Newton, drop step to the basket. And Duncan comes up with the board. Excellent defensive rebound by Tim Duncan. You notice that he's going to play behind Newton, meaning Duke will be able to get him the ball. Duncan, top of the key, swing it in front. He's double-teamed. Allen's open. And Newton gets a hand on it. And that's an interesting matchup, Billy. Newton and Duncan.
Now, the difference is Newton can get in foul trouble early. That'll really hurt Duke. Duncan is the kind of guy with great presence on the court, never gets in foul trouble. Only has fouled out of 1 game this year, and that's been a long time coming to even foul out of that one.
Here's Duncan posted up on the block, facing the basket with Newton on him. They get it inside. Allen drops, had it rejected by Newton.
Great weak side help.
So Greg Newton leads the team in block shots as well. That's his 20th of the season, and Trajan Langdon on the other end will kiss it off the glass.
You can see that Wake Forest is playing for the jump shot. And what has happened so far is Duke is taking the ball inside. Now, Allen took too much time to get that shot off. Newton was able to come all the way across the court to block it. He had been on Duncan, obviously. Notice how Duke is playing Wake Forest for the shot, not for the dribble. Everybody out tight. Should help Duncan get open.
4-2 our score. Perall in the corner. He'll get his own rebound. Braswell spots up.
Second great play by Perall. Kept the ball alive on the offensive glass and then threw that long cross-court pass.
Braswell with 17 points against North Carolina last Saturday.
Wake Forest not fighting through screens very well.
And Langdon already with 5.
Last year in the game here, which Wake Forest won, they missed their first 8 shots, fell behind early, but this team has a lot of composure.
7-5 our score. Blue Devils on top of Wake. Inside Duncan, double team.
He's got strong hands.
And a block from the backside by Newton.
He was out of bounds. Langdon was out of bounds. Actually, he and McLeod collided. Nice piece of officiating there, all over it. It looks like, to me, Gus, that Tim Duncan is taking on the physical pushing inside by Duke as a challenge. McLeod doubling on him.
There's Braswell again, out of bounds, and the Blue Devils will get it back, leading at 7-5.
And how about this? Mike Krzyzewski is going to say, as he did in practice yesterday, we're going to play a 40-minute game. He's going to try to use his superior depth against the Wake Forest team that primarily goes 7 men.
So in the ball game now for Duke, Mike Chappelle, Ricky Price, Chris Carrawell, Carmen Wallace, and Nate James.
It's James' first play of the year. Young man had moved into the starting lineup for about a minute back in November and had that very serious injury to his thumb, playing for the first time today.
Chappelle, a freshman out of Southfield, Michigan.
Really 3 freshmen on the court.
Price pulling up. Scramble for the ball, squirts out to Rutland.
How about Duncan taking off? Thought he had a fast break opportunity.
Wallace getting a hand on it.
What you have here is Duke in a position to pile up 25 fouls with this second unit. Wake Forest, a good free throw shooting team, but you're going to see aggressive defense here.
So Nate James, the freshman out of the Washington, D.C. area, picks up the foul. And he's recovering from that injured thumb, as Billy mentioned.
Now, if you're Wake Forest, you bring Lauren Woods in, go real big against a Duke team that's extremely small on the floor, and just try to play over the top of them. You have Wallace playing on Duncan. He sure can't handle him inside if Duncan can get the ball.
Here's Perrault putting it on the deck, and he travels.
Not a smart play by Perrault. Wake Forest shouldn't put it on the floor with this team. They should play stationary and throw over the top of a smaller Duke team.
So Ricky Price and Mike Chappelle in the backcourt for the Blue Devils. Here's James, guarded by Braswell. To the basket, finger roll.
We both watched this young man yesterday, and believe me, he's going to add a lot to this Duke team. Terrific ball play.
Here's Duncan, picked up his dribble. Perrault, baseline jumper. .27 to go here in the first half of play. 9-5, Duke on top of Wake. Duncan, and he'll draw the blocking foul on the baseline.
Well, he's 6'10". He can run, he can catch the ball on the move, and he can finish. This is not some center that doesn't know how to play the rest of the game.
So Chris Carrawell picks up the foul. So far, Wake Forest 2 of 8 from the field.
Well, that's better than 0 from 8 as they were last year starting this game here. But Duke's strategy is obvious. They're going to play aggressive with a lot of people.
So Tim Duncan steps to the line and makes it a 9-6 game. Wake Forest on the season 11-0, 3-0 in ACC play, ranked 2nd in the country. Duke 11-3, 2-1 in the ACC. They're the number 10 team. Duncan with 4 points, 15:22 to go, and we've got a 2-point game.
5 years ago.
15:22 to go here in the first half of play. Duke with the 9-7 lead. I'm Gus Johnson with Billy Packer, and they've got us up here in the rafters, Billy, here at the historic Cameron Indoor Stadium.
Been up here often, Gus, but I'll tell you, there's no better place to watch a game than right here. Rojo kind of loses his footing over the line. And Duke back with their starting lineup. They started, obviously, these 5 players substituted immediately after 2 minutes and came right back, so they're going to be fresh.
McLeod top of the key. And it's all down by Tim Duncan.
I think Newton pulled his shirt right out of his pants.
3 rebounds already for Duncan. As a junior, the first on the first team All-American squad.
Now what McLeod is doing is keeping an eye, shielding on Duncan. Didn't help too much, got there a little late. Now what Allen is going to have to do is realize he's not being guarded. Tim Duncan's an excellent passer, so Allen has to break free.
Wake Forest foul number 21, Tim Duncan, his first on the team. Wake Forest basket, Sean Allen. Rutland for three. Corral and Eminette in for Wake Forest. Carmen Wallace back in for the Blue Devils. Duke foul on number 5, Jeff Cable, his first, third on the team. Official timeout. Catch all the latest Duke sports news.
Yes, Wake Forest doing quite a job in their start. Terrific rebounding edge. That's provided by Duncan. I think what we have seen so far in this ball game is Duke has established how.
Jerry Braswell returns to the lineup for Tony Rutland for the Deacons.
Senior Delaware, Duncan on the floor again.
Foul on number 5, Steve Goldby, his first, second on the team. Duke foul on number 21. Trayvon Blank, his first, third on the team. Mike his fourth on the team. Mike Chappelle returns to the Blue Devil. Tony Ruttman back in for the Deacons. For the Deacons, 2 shots.
One shot.
Good foul, number 20, Mike Chappelle, his first 6 on the team. Ricky Burrell at the line, 2 shots. Good foul on number 12, Steve Wojciechowski, his first. That's the lead up of the 17th foul. Trey Jones replaces Wojciechowski for the Deacons. Shooting for Deacons, number 25, Jerry Glasgow, 1 and 1. Good foul on number 20, Mike Chappelle, his second, 8th on the team. At the line is Jerry Braswell, shooting for Wake Forest. Sean Allen. Nate James, number 14, and number 5, Jeff Papel, for the line for the Rebels. Fouls on Wake Forest, number 40, Sean Allen, his first, fourth on the team, official timeout. Wake Forest foul on Jerry Braswell, number 25, his first, team's fifth. Shooting is the Blue Devils, number 4, Rashawn McLeod, 2 shots. For the Deacons, number 5, Steve Goolsby returns, replacing Sean Allen.
Duncan's going to be looking to get that ball again after what McLeod did to him. Wake playing a double low stack now.
Corral again for 3. Well, they call it a 2. His foot on the line. 24-18.
That kind of wore Newton out a little bit defensively, trying to chase.
Now for Corral, that's the first 3 he's hit in 4 games. Capel.
Not blocked by Duncan, but altered mentally by Duncan. Capel looked him in the face and didn't square up on that rim.
That's Duncan all alone.
Had to foul another. He had a dunk. McLeod thinking he had 2 blocks on Duncan in a row, but Tim Duncan would have put that one away with a 2-hand slam.
Sean McLeod picking up his first foul, and that is the 19th foul called against the Blue Devils. So Tim Duncan steps to the line, 7 points, 8 rebounds.
Guess I mentioned to you how little this guy does in terms of getting into foul trouble. As a freshman, sophomore, and junior, he knew he had to play basically 40-minute games. And we can see right now that he doesn't have to play that many minutes, but he's only committed about 2 fouls a game this year. Only fouled out of 1 ball game, that being at Utah in the last few seconds. So he really knows how to play inside, well within himself.
McLeod for 3. Rashawn McLeod starting to heat up here, and he makes it a 4-point game with 5:26 to go.
That's a tough matchup now for Duncan, because he doesn't want to have to go out and play him on the perimeter at the 3-point line, but McLeod can make that shot. I think that Wake would be smart maybe to put Duncan on Wallace and give up that shot.
And Rutland stepping on the sideline.
Not quick enough to go by Wojo. Rutland never had the blazing speed of his high school teammate, Allen Iverson, but maybe nobody else did either.
Iverson averaging 20 points a game in the NBA now for the Sixers. Langdon has been cold here in the first half. Gets the screen up high, slides inside, and drew the foul.
Goolsby really made one of the defensive mistakes a guy who's not a shot blocker often makes, and that is he was undecided, wanted to go to block the shot. He should have played for position with his feet and would have drawn the charge.
So Trajan Langdon coming off that knee injury, which sidelined him a season ago, shooting 88% from the free throw line.
Been over 90 most of the year, leads the ACC in free throw shooting. Harold Dean, the outstanding guard from Virginia, right behind him. This league is blessed with outstanding guard play once again.
Got 7 points now. Here's a trap. They get it to Duncan, and he'll walk it over the line. Amazing that a guy 7 feet tall can handle the ball on the perimeter like that. Goolsby down low. Double clutched it, got the basket and the foul.
Now, Goolsby was an outstanding scorer in high school. One of the top scorers in the state of Georgia. But with that knee injury, he has been slowed down a little bit, getting that lift on his jump shot. Here he's driving to the basket. Most of the Wake Forest players realizing now they're not going to get the jumper today, so they are putting it on the floor. Smart move by Goolsby. That's some shot. I think when he gets his legs back 100%, you're going to see him pick up as a scorer here in his junior year as well.
28-23, 4:32 to go.
James back in the game. Let's see if they get him the ball. He's 2 for 2. He's aggressively looking like he wants some shots.
Wallace.
So that was a good move by Wake, switching Duncan over to Wallace, putting Corral on McLeod. Nice subtle move by Dave Odom.
7 on the shot clock. Langdon around the screen, and he got it.
No matter which way Langdon turns or comes from, he has the ability to square up his body for the jumper.
Got 10 points here in the first half. 28-26. Goolsby from downtown.
Didn't like the shot selection. Should have waited for Duncan to get open.
Duke now on a 14-6 run. And the Blue Devils trailing by 2.
Good in and out play.
Here's McLeod, baby hook. He'll get it back inside. And McLeod fouled on the block.
I think it's Perot reaching in. Not a good block out on a bad shot.
Ricky Perot, his first 7 on the team.
1,500 wins for Duke University. Picked that up with a win here in overtime against Florida State, opening up the ACC schedule for them. And you can see the storied programs above them. St. John's, Kansas, North Carolina, and Kentucky. North Carolina, Kentucky had that battle. North Carolina actually overcame Kentucky there for a year and a half. Kentucky back now on top in all-time wins.
So McLeod now 7 points. And he'll try to tie this game up.
Number 40, Sean.
With his next free throw, Sean Allen, senior from Raleigh, will replace Steve Goolsby.
So Wake goes back with their regular starting lineup on the floor now with 3:18 to go. Dave Odom probably figuring, okay, I'm going to give a good rest here for them during halftime. I want to have a nice stretch run here to try to take a nice lead into the second half.
Largest lead of the game for Wake Forest, 10 points, and Duke has come back. They have now cut it to a 1-point game.
Well, Price and Wojciechowski, two terrific defenders on the perimeter.
Lobbed inside, stripped away from Duncan. Here's Wojo, bounce pass, Price, and he travels. Good idea from Wojo. Price can't handle it. 1-point game from Cameron.
Monday, Tom Selleck and Kevin Klein.
Only 3 minutes, under 3 minutes to go here in the first half of play. 1-point game. And the AP Top 10, only 2 undefeated teams in college basketball right now, Kansas and Wake Forest.
It looks like, yes, there's a chance for the ACC to have another team move up, Clemson, because Iowa State and Kentucky have both lost this week. Clemson a game at Florida State. Wake breaks the full court man-to-man pressure relatively easy.
Duncan.
Between the legs, huh?
6'10".
6'10", plays 7-1.
Braswell got the step. He'll pick up his dribble. Allen almost walked.
Foul by Capel, gets by with it.
And Nate James snatches down the rebound.
And he wants the ball.
McDonald's All-American out of St. John's Prospect Hall. Played for Stu Vetter.
Mike Krzyzewski said the young man, just a freshman, down with those injuries, was one of the best team players he ever had, even though he knew he couldn't play. And the fact that he rooted all his teammates on, never felt the second.
And Jeff Capel gives the Blue Devils the lead with 2 minutes to play here in the first half.
Double team in here, leaving Duncan open, and then Wallace has to catch up to him. Interesting strategy by Duke. Duncan should turn and try to make a play down inside because they're actually playing 4 against 3.
Here's Duncan, sealed Wallace, ball fake to the basket, and Wallace picks up the foul. Now these two centers, Greg Newton right now on the bench, this is how they matched up a season ago.
Newton playing fairly well against Duncan, not on the floor right now because you can see Mike Krzyzewski's idea is to play a lot of people against Duncan. Duncan, of course, having a big advantage statistically, but you know when you look up at the scoreboard, 29-28. Duncan being worn down, and of course you can commit those fouls as Wallace just did there on Duncan to make sure he doesn't get rolled into a big game.
So Tim Duncan now with 9 points, 5 of 7 from the free throw line.
You know, some guys talk about double-doubles. Tim Duncan never doesn't have a double-double. Borders on triple-doubles in most games.
And we'll get a foul underneath.
Does have one triple-double in his career against Maryland. But he can do it with points, rebounds, shot blocking, and sometimes assists.
Sean Allen picking up the foul. Now don't forget, coming up on Pennzoil at the half, Andrea Joyce and George Raveling will get you caught up on the college basketball action, plus a live look in at Syracuse and Alabama. That's all coming up on Pennzoil at the half.
There's a young man that has really added to this program. Carmen Wallace comes in from Wilmington, Delaware, not a heralded recruit. Bides his time, works hard in practice, and now getting quality playing minutes at Duke University in his senior year.
Duke with the 2-point lead. They trail by as many as 10 here in the first half with the number 2 Deacons.
There's a case again. You see they have 3 men playing back, 2 guys up on the press. I think Wake Forest can throw over that and then go down inside. That's a 3. Oh, no, a 2, right on the line. He can step out. There's nothing you can't say about the guy.
Can do a little bit of everything. Wallace deep in the corner. Bad shot by him. Long rebound coming out to Tim Duncan.
Duncan rebounds and heads down court. 3/4 speed.
10 rebounds for Duncan in the first half.
There's a switch.
Back to Rutland. 18 on the shot clock. Allen, 15-footer. Count it.
Boy, that was a nice play by Sean Allen. He looked first inside for the dump down to Duncan. Duncan pats him on the hand going back. Very smart play by Allen.
And a 20-second timeout called by Duke. Wake Forest with the 33-31 lead. Now, back in 1992 at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, the Blue Devils provided a memorable college moment.
Puts it up.
Christian Laettner's shot gave Duke a 104-103 overtime win over Kentucky in the East Regional and propelled the Blue Devils to a national championship.
You know, a couple of years ago, they brought back all the great Duke players, and they reenacted that exact play with Grant Hill throwing to Christian Laettner right here on this floor. And you know what happened? Christian Laettner buried the same shot all over again.
Laettner now with the Atlanta Hawks, traded to Atlanta from Minnesota.
And for the first time in his pro career, getting to play the position that he really likes to play and having a great year. Probably going to be into the All-Star game.
25 seconds to go in the first half. 33-31, 2-3 zone right now.
Right.
By Wake.
Second time today they've gone to the zone. First time Bojo hit the 3-point shot. Now we have Wake taking a quick 20-second timeout.
And with the score 33-31, how about this? Back in 1962, our own Billy Packer provided many memorable moments for Wake Forest, both on the basketball court and also on the baseball field. But the most memorable moment came in 1962 when Billy led the Deacons to the Final Four in Louisville.
Oh, that's a jumper from heyday there. I think that rebound was against John Havlicek. Can you imagine that? Now, tell grandkids about something like that.
Now, you played with a great player.
This is about how high I jump, Gus. This is how I get off the floor. You know, actually, you could take that piece of paper you had and probably put it right underneath my feet. That was a different day, a different dollar.
Play with Lynn Chappell at Wake Forest in the 60s, along with Tim Duncan, as we get a turnover.
How about that?
Was an All-American as a junior.
Coach calls a timeout to set up a specific play with 14 seconds to go and then throw it out of bounds.
9 turnovers now for Wake. They lead by 2. Wojciechowski will throw it towards the basket. And that is the end of the first half. Duke coming back after being down by as many as 10. And they will go into the locker room trailing 33-31. Andrea Joyce, George Raveling will be along with Pennzoil at the half right after this message and a word from your local station. And welcome back to Cameron Indoor Stadium, where we're all set for the second half. Wake Forest leading Duke 23-33-31. And statistically in the first half of play.
Well, you can see Wake Forest again, incredibly, how they hold teams down in field goal shooting percentage. Doing it once again, 34% for Duke University. Also, I think a real key thing for Wake Forest in that first half is how much they got to the foul line. 15 times made 11. Duke only there 8 times made 6. Wake Forest with a big advantage also off the boards. The game actually closer than the stats might show.
Wake also doing a good job getting to the free throw line. 15 attempts, 11 of 15, and there's Tim Duncan.
Well, we talked about his double-doubles. He's already got a double-double today. That's 21 straight games for him. Duke picking up full court. Let's see the adjustments that Dave Odom made during halftime to see if he can't get his team in a lower set, meaning that Duncan gets the ball closer to the basket in the second half than he did the first.
Here's Allen.
And there he is.
Inside, Duncan, double team. And a steal. Capel to Langdon on the right side. Back to Capel. Finger rolling in.
Well, Duke triple-teamed Duncan. Wake Forest threw the ball away. That means you had 4 guys on 2 and couldn't make a play.
6 points now for Capel, tied at 33. Duncan stealing his man, and he'll go up strong.
I said, what adjustments will Dave Odom make? And that is to get Duncan closer to the basket 2 times in a row down the floor. That's what they try to do both times.
He's got 13. Capel tried to get it to McLeod, and Peral got a hand on it.
Well, Duncan's setting up high, and then he'll float down to the basket.
Braswell giving up his dribble, and he'll get it back.
Here comes Duncan floating down to the basket. They want to get him the ball down low.
And McLeod facing Duncan. Here's Peral for 3.
Excellent cross-court passing by Wake Forest there, and when you can throw from 6'10 to 6'10, you can really go over the top of a defense.
Ricky Peral now 2 3-pointers in this game. He's got 7 points, 38-33.
And see who Peral's guarding? Capel. That's his versatility defensively.
Bounce pass.
Probably not that smart a play by Tim Duncan that time. Even he can make some mistakes. Tried to come over and pick up to help out. Left his man wide open.
3-point lead now for the Deeks, and a turnover. Wojciechowski just really hassling Rutland.
One of the things, and we can see tremendous quickness advantage by Wojo over Rutland, causing a lot of problems. Wade's probably going to have to set some back screens to get Rutland open.
11 turnovers now for the Demon Deacons. They lead it by 3. Wojciechowski working his way on the baseline, a foul.
Foul on Wake Forest, number 25, Jeremy Braswell, his second.
17:41 to go here in the second half of play. 38-35 our score. Deeks on top of Duke. Here's Capel.
Second time in the second half that Capel's been able to work himself free from Peral. Peral basically a 6'10 man trying to play a guard, getting caught on some screens.
Capel now 9 points. Allen jump hook.
His favorite shot. Nice defense by Newton.
Here's Wojo. Cuts to the center of the floor, straight to the basket. And he'll turn and dish in midair and draw the foul. Sean Allen underneath the basket.
Gus, I'm going to give you a stat. Wojo has taken 58 shots on the year coming this game. 40 of them were from 3. That means he's only taken 18 shots this year other than 3-point shots. So if you're defending a guy like Wojo and he drives, you know he's going to pass the ball. Don't try to stop him from taking the shot. Make him take the shot, unlike most players. Play him
to Newton.
You play him to pass, not to shoot. Boy, this team really emotionally into this ball game.
And yesterday in practice, Coach Mike Krzyzewski sitting his team down and really telling them that they have the opportunity to go out in this game and play a great game and walk off the floor after this one is over as winners.
And he also had an interesting, and I don't know whether I believe in the psychology, but he said, we actually have more to win by winning this game than does Wake Forest. So he thinks that that would give his team the edge. And maybe to stay on pace in this league that's going to be so tight, you cannot afford to lose home games. They've lost 2 very tough games. They could have won both Michigan, which they lost here, and of course the game at Clemson the other night. The Michigan game, they went 10 minutes and 30 seconds without scoring. Terrific comeback by Michigan.
Peral
third wide open jumper he's in today.
And Ricky Peral now with 9 points. We're tied at 40. 16:38 to go here. Langdon off the front of the rim. Knocked back out by Newton. Almost saved it in. How about Wojciechowski?
I don't know if he had to make that. I don't think it would have been backcourt. But that was some play. Talk about an emotional leader of a ball club.
Run the weave up top. Capel hesitated, fired.
Braswell better hope he didn't touch it, and he didn't. See, I don't think this would have been a backcourt violation. Wojo dives for it. That is some play, huh?
Landed hard also.
That was some play.
Steve Wojciechowski Jr. out of Baltimore, Maryland.
This is a mistake by Wake, too, to match up Rutland against Wojo, bringing the ball up the court. They need to get him in a shooting position.
Peral posting up on McLeod. Goolsby, ball fake, got it off, and the roll.
You can see he is a shooter when he gets those legs back. Perfect rotation on the shot, gets the shooter's bounce.
At the three-pointer.
Well, the three-point shot kept Duke in the game in the first half.
McLeod facing up, put it on the floor. And Peral comes up with the rebound, and Rashawn McLeod will pick up the foul reaching in.
Frustration foul there, Gus.
Foul on number 4, Rashawn.
43-40. We'll be back in a moment.
First on the team, official
medalist. More. Catch 6 games with 6 teams in the top 25, including #1 Kansas colliding with Connecticut. It's all next weekend on CBS.
Wake with a 3-point lead, 15:22 to go. Now, you know, Duke University is known for its beautiful Gothic campus. The campus soon will be more beautiful thanks to a $16 million recreation building named in honor of alumnus and former scholarship athlete Gary Wilson, who announced a $5 million gift at halftime today. It's the largest gift for athletics in Duke history.
Full court pressure again, and there you have Rutland matched up with Wojo. Big advantage, I think, to Duke, to force Rutland to work so hard with the dribble, knowing he's not going to beat Wojo off the dribble and taking him away from his shooting position.
Peral in the pivot, back to Rutland, had a hand in his face, off the back of the iron. Cleared by Newton.
He's a no factor today because of the way he's being played.
Here's Price.
And Price has been a no factor as well. You know, he's lost a lot of confidence in his game, maybe not adjusting very well to the few minutes he's playing. Duke has got 10 guys on their squad this year. We'll see the replay of the ball. Basically, there is no such thing as a force out in the college game, so consequently, if that was not a foul, that should have been Duke's ball out of bounds.
And you mentioned Ricky Price. He averages close to 10 points per game. So far, 0 for 4. Duncan. Back out to Goolsby. Wide open look, and he makes the Blue Devils pay. That's a three-pointer. 46-40. He's got 9.
I guess I was pointing out, Duke has 10 guys that play over 14 minutes a game. Some guys just can't adjust to playing that 14 minutes a game. They need to be in there more often. Kind of like a running back that needs to touch the ball, 20 times a ball game or more in order to be effective.
Price again for 15. And he had it stripped away, but is fouled on the way up. Third foul on Braswell.
So you see 2 different ways that coaches in this day and age are now trying to build teams. One with the 8-man squad, hoping you don't get anybody hurt, which is basically the Wake Forest style. The other playing 10, 12 deep, such as you see Kansas plays with a 10-man squad. You see a Clemson playing with a 10-man squad. Last year, the University of Kentucky playing with a 10-man squad. And that works very well, maybe regular season. You get to the tournament time, you like to go with your strong 7 or 8.
I'll tell you what, Billy, as Price makes the free throw, talking about a team that's playing with a good core of 7 or 8 players. Clemson, they just got through beating Duke 86-82, and here's a team that they don't have any premier players on their squad, but they really play together as a team.
Well, they do, and that's another philosophy we're seeing in major college recruiting now, and that is the fact that maybe you don't want that superstar that comes into your program that's going to give you 1 year, as happened to Georgia Tech with Stephen Marbury. Maybe you want the guy just a notch below that, but to keep him for the full 4 years. Then you become a veteran senior ball player.
Lob inside, Duncan again. Look at the body control as he was able to steer that ball in the basket and not pick up the offensive foul.
Wake Forest with a solid offensive run going to that strategy. There's a nice job by Price going inside, but going to that strategy to get the ball down low to Duncan here in the second half.
He finally gets on the scoreboard. Ricky Price, 1 of 5. Duncan again, nice catch.
He can do that. And they are really going low to him.
17 points now for Tim Duncan, senior from the Virgin Islands. Wallace.
Now Duncan and these seniors have never lost a game in Cameron. Now you can go through the history of this league going back to 54. There aren't many players that have gone through the ACC that can make that statement.
Now with the conclusion of today's game, we will select the genuine Chevrolet most valuable player of the game from each team. Today Chevrolet has contributed almost $6.5 million to the scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities.
Again, we saw Duke University taking the ball to the hole. Now, Mike Krzyzewski said something in practice yesterday that was kind of amazing. He said, I don't want to see you take that ball and challenge Duncan inside. He is better at blocking the ball than we are taking it inside. Now, think about something. They played against Shaquille O'Neal a few years ago, and Mike would said just the opposite. Take the ball at Shaquille. You mean to tell me he has more respect for Duncan's shot-blocking ability than Shaquille O'Neal? Evidently.
Rutland drilling the runner. I think one thing that you have to point out also with Tim Duncan, he's got a great ability, as you mentioned earlier, to block the ball and not pick up fouls.
And keep it in bounds as well to his teammates.
Maybe that's why Coach K does not want him to go
another drive.
At Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan, 4th all-time in block shots, and by the end of the year, he should surpass Alonzo Mourning.
You ought to point out something there. This would be a great trivia question. Duncan 4th all-time in NCAA in shot blocking, but he's 3rd all-time in ACC shot blocking. The reason for that, the 2 guys in the ACC ahead of him, Ralph Sampson and Tree Rollins, blocked their shots before the NCAA used that as a statistic. So he's got a chance to become the all-time NCAA leader and maybe not be the all-time ACC leader.
And we'll get a traveling violation called against the freshman Nate James, shuffling his feet.
Just a little over-anxious. He needs a few more games of playing experience to really be a solid guy in the lineup.
Came down between Maryland and Duke for Nate James, and he chose to come to Duke. Here's Aminette underneath, reverse layup, left hand won't go, and McLeod clears it.
Duke doing everything they can to take Tim Duncan out of the game by trying to play a full court set.
Rebounded inside, Wallace the putback. 11 rebounds now for Tim Duncan.
Aminette broke long that time. You'd think Wake would try that more often. Release a guy, knowing Duncan's such a great defensive rebound.
And Ricky Peral now with 12 points.
Every time Duke makes what looks like a solid run, Wake counters. Good offensive shooting. Boy, Price is really taking it to the hoop and loses handle. Oh, the referee missed that one.
11:54 to go, 55-46 Wake.
Wednesday. CBS Sports coverage of the road to the Final Four is sponsored by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. Brewery Fresh Bud Light, who reminds you that fresh beer tastes better. And by Nike.
(55-46), 11:54 to go here in the second half.
Well, Tim Duncan does a lot of things, but in this particular case, he never touched this ball. We'll see Price on the drive. Here comes the ball flying through. Ricky Price threw it out of bounds. He's upset with himself, but then he looks at the referee, and the referee said Duke's ball, so he's happy with it. Sometimes even the guys in the striped shirts miss one.
Now, Wake Forest is 9 of 12 here in the second half, 75%. However, they do have 16 fouls, one more team foul, and the Blue Devils will be in a 1-and-1 situation.
Wake goes back to that 2-3 zone, Duncan in the middle.
James for 3.
Wow.
And that was a missile for the freshman. He's got 8.
Boy, he plays aggressively, too, on the other end of the floor. As I said, all he needs are minutes. he is going to be a factor for this club. He's overplaying on Goolsby. Goolsby needs to take him backdoor rather.
Inside, Duncan, catch, and he'll just pound it down.
Well, Wallace has to work so hard to get around him, giving up those 5 inches. And Duncan did an excellent job with positioning there.
19 points for the All-American, 57-49. Langdon.
Langdon had a pretty good start in the first half, been quiet here in the second so far. Got to get him some shots.
Capel picks it up. Couldn't get the roll. Offensive rebound. McLeod too far under the basket. And a scramble for the ball and a jump ball to call.
How about Duncan extended his hand? Now he's got the ball underneath his head, taking a little rest there. But he extended the ball after he hit the floor to say, guys, it was mine. He really has not only good hands, but strong hands. McLeod going up, keeps it alive. Peral, Duncan, McLeod, and Wallace all go down on the floor with it, and James. And there's Tim Duncan and holding it away, saying, guys, it was mine.
Duncan 7 of 10 from the field. And 19 points. 11 rebounds. They look backside. McLeod slicing to the basket. Too short. And Peral.
He hurt his leg or ankle on that play. Runs it out.
Rutland on the wing with Langdon on him.
Notice how they set Duncan up high and then post him down with a back screen.
Goolsby popping out. Peral posting up McLeod. Fadeaway jumper. Duncan rebound.
You know, he played that over the top of Newton from behind and didn't commit the foul and still made the shot.
21 points now for Tim Duncan as Wake Forest equals their largest lead of the game at 10 points.
Well, Randolph Childress is the guy that put Wake Forest on his back to take some of these victories here at Cameron Indoor over Duke. And Duncan's doing it today.
Steal by Rutland. Leaves it.
But they really are respecting Rutland's ability to shoot that outside shot, aren't they? They go out on it all the time.
And Ricky Peral losing the handle, and he fouls Tim James.
Here we're going to see that offensive rebounding by Tim Duncan. Now look, there's a good block out on him by Newton. With those long arms, he goes over Newton and never commits that sin of using his body to push down Newton inside and scores anyway. So here we see James, who's having a very good game in a few minutes. Peral bangs into him, puts James on the line, and in the second half, Duke's getting to the line, as you pointed out, Gus.
So Peral picks up his 4th foul. However, that is the 17th foul called against Wake. So here at the 9:29 mark, Duke will shoot 1-1 for the rest of the game on every foul.
Now there's one substitution or lack thereof that's kind of interesting to me today, and that is that Lauren Woods, the outstanding freshman for Wake Forest, has not gotten in this ball game at all. We have no report about any injury or illness to him. And so it's just a coach's decision not to play him, which is kind of strange in a game like this with Peral sitting down. You'd think they'd go for some more size. William Stringfellow, another player on their ball club, announced that he's transferring, going to the University of Houston, from Texas originally.
Steve Wojciechowski back in for the Blue Devils.
Second free throw good as Wojciechowski comes back into the game. Duke now 8 of 8 from the free throw line. As Nate James comes in, does a good job, and tries to lift this Blue Devil team. Down 59-51. Duncan to the corner. Allen.
That's been there all game. 2-on-1 against the press. Throw ahead. Hit somebody in the corner.
McLeod. And here comes Duke. 59-53.
What did Mike Krzyzewski say? Let's play him a 40-minute game. Hoping that he could stay close and go down that last 4 minutes in the ball game and then make that run against a tired team.
Chappelle on Goolsby. Allen lobbed inside. Nice look. Tim Duncan will get the basket and the foul.
Well, there's a case where McLeod at the front Duncan down in the low post. Allen recognized that. Again, you've got that experience of their ball club. Watch this. The ball hits inside. McLeod is fronting Duncan. All Duncan did with that excellent footwork, just roll to the inside and get the dish. Excellent catch, extends those hands, protects the ball, nothing McLeod can do.
Tim Duncan now 23 points, 12 rebounds and 1 block shot. 61 to 53. 8:40 to play.
Duke keeps coming. You want to keep the pressure on Wake Forest in this game.
Chappelle from the corner. And a traveling violation. Looked like Rutland didn't have a place to land.
Well, and Wojo is so quick, got up underneath him. And Rutland never anticipated he'd be there.
14th turnover for the Deacons.
Rutland having all kinds of problems today with the quickness that he's facing both offensively and defensively.
Here's Newton playing big with Duncan on him. Wheels inside. Duncan got it, but the follow is good.
Well, we said he plays pretty well against Tim Duncan, and that was just great hustle on his part. Very seldom do you see Duncan block a shot and then get out-hustled with a putback, and that's exactly what Newton did there. You'll see he drives on Duncan. It gets blocked. Normally, Duncan will control that play, but Newton got it right back and put it in. Hey, he better be careful. That earring he's got on his belly button may get him in some trouble there. Some guys have tattoos. This guy goes with earrings. He's got one on his tongue, one on his belly button.
Greg Newton, senior out of Niagara Falls, Ontario.
That was a frustration jump shot right there from Rutland. He wants something.
And he'll get it. Tony Rutland just nailing a bomb. 64-56. He's got 8.
That one will have to annoy Mike Krzyzewski a little bit because he wants to force Rutland to put that ball on the floor at all times.
Wojciechowski, nice look.
But Gus, what did I say? When he drives, he's going to pass. Wake Forest double-teamed him. There's no reason ever to double-team him on the drive. Let him drive and hold your own ground.
6-point game. Wake is led by 10 twice today, and a reach-in foul called against Wojciechowski.
Now, I mentioned all the minutes played on behalf of the Duke players. Wojo is the only guy in their squad that plays 30 minutes.
CBS Sports coverage of NCAA basketball will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
Basketball team hosts our tribe.
The ACC. 550 ACC.
2 stations, more games, more teams, more ACC.
Carolina State, Duke, Wake, and more. The ACC is on the Big 5. The ACC is on the WB. We've got the games on WB50.
The ACC is on WRAL TV5 and WB50.
We got the game.
Maryland and State tomorrow at 1 on TV5.
4:58 our score, 7:32 to play. Gus Johnson, Billy Packer, fatigue could end up being a factor here late in this ball game.
Well, that's Mike Krzyzewski's theory anyway. He's used multiple players today. His strategy has been throughout this game to try to turn it into a 90-foot game with that full court pressure. Tim Duncan has not been out of the game at all today. Of course, he knows how to pace himself so well. But Mike Krzyzewski's theory was keep this game close till you get down that last 3 minutes and then hope that fatigue wears down Wake Forest.
And a reach-in foul. Newton will pick it up.
I don't think we'll see any change in that philosophy by Krzyzewski. And if you're Dave Odom, I have to go back and wonder where is Lauren Woods today to at least give you some minutes to spell both Duncan and Perall. And then if you're Wake Forest, you're going to continue to play exactly as you have, as Bobby Crimmins wanted to talk about. He's played both of these ball clubs and said what Wake needs to do is play exactly as they have. As an experienced team going to this young man right here down low.
Ball fake. Back out to Goolsby. All alone, firing and hitting.
What's the worst thing you can do in basketball? Don't guard the man that has the ball. He's the most dangerous guy on the floor, particularly a guy like Goolsby who can shoot.
Goolsby now, 12 points. He's got 3 threes. Here's Newton again with Duncan on his back. 14 on the shot clock, knocked away. 8 on the shot clock. McLeod, 3-pointer.
That's why Wake Forest switched off Duncan off McLeod. He does have that ability to step out there and shoot. Back down to 6, Gus.
McLeod, a junior from St. Anthony's High School in Jersey City, wanted to come to Duke originally.
Why do the Wake dribblers, or for that matter, anybody, constantly want to challenge Wojo with the dribble outside? He really negates your crossover because he's so low to the ground. So it's tough to beat him and go by.
Number 14, Nate James.
Sean McLeod with 14 points, as we mentioned, as Goolsby takes a seat. He wanted to come to Duke originally. However, they had Joey Beard at that time. So McLeod went to St. John's. Beard transferred to Boston University, and McLeod came back to the school he originally wanted to come to out of high school, Duke.
Nice little break here for Wake Forest while Duke is substituting. They're going to need all the energy that they can if they expect to get their 9th straight win against this program.
Here's Allen.
5 seconds maybe. There's James again causing trouble.
7 to go on the shot clock. Rutland, right wing.
Great switch by James.
Pulls up. That's a dagger there.
Oh, that was something. James was all over him.
Newton inside. One fake.
And that's all. Again, there's Duncan's ability. He is such a smart player not to commit the foul by coming down with a chop on what was a bad shot.
Now don't forget, we've got 6 big games for you next weekend. 3 on Saturday and 3 on Sunday. UMass Boston College, Arkansas Cincinnati, and UNLV Oklahoma State.
Well, you know, when I saw Arkansas get beat by Mississippi, I said, boy, that's a bad loss for Arkansas. But now Mississippi beats Kentucky. You have to say, hey, wait a second. Lift up your eyes a little bit. Maybe the opponent was a lot stronger than we ever anticipated.
And Kansas taking on Connecticut in Hartford, I believe. And Connecticut coming off a tough loss to Fran Fraschiller's Red Storm from St. John's earlier during the week in overtime.
And talk about Texas. We talk about tough schedules. How about Tommy Penders is taking on everybody? Little quick timeout by Wake Forest.
Now the road to the Final Four continues next Sunday on CBS Sports. Top-ranked Kansas, led by Jacques Vaughn. They travel to Hartford to face the Huskies from UConn. Connecticut would like nothing more than to upset the undefeated Jayhawks. And it all comes your way next Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS, home of the NCAA Basketball Championship.
Well, remember a couple of years ago when Connecticut went to Kansas and Jim Calhoun had a horrible day playing against Kansas out there. Maybe he can return the favor to Roy Williams when he brings his club east.
Allen, good pressure defense by Nate James, and they get it to Braswell. Braswell pulling up off the front of the rim, knocked out of bounds. Will stay down here.
Well, tough leaning shot by Braswell. Wake Forest playing a little bit helter-skelter here in terms of not being able to spread Duke out a little bit, stay within their offensive sets.
Amonette all alone.
Pretty good shooter.
And the sophomore buries the 3. And Wake Forest now with their biggest lead of the ball game, up 72-61.
Young man was the leading scorer in the state of Tennessee. Didn't get many minutes last year, now starting to become a valuable player. Remember, Rusty LaRue was the only player of significance scoring-wise that Wake lost, so he could fit that role.
Amonette 8 of 27 from the three-point line on the season. Here's Capel, hesitation inside, and he'll draw the foul.
A little quickness factor. Duke has got a terrific group of players on the perimeter. Really don't have, with the exception of Newton down inside, now that Domzowski has been hurt and hadn't played for a while with that mysterious knee injury. Duke really not an inside power club, but really has a tremendous amount of talent on the perimeter.
Capel missing the free throw, but Ricky Price is there.
Give McLeod credit. He knocked that ball right away from Duncan. Duncan may be tiring a little bit. He's played every minute of this game.
James from deep in the corner. And the freshman showing no hesitation about putting it up.
Good block out by Amonette.
Under 5 to play, 72-61. Braswell almost had it taken away by Langdon.
Boy, these guards have been shaky.
Rutland crossing over. Allen, 15 feet, and he shoots an air ball.
Not so sure he didn't get hit on the elbow with that one.
11-point lead for Wake. McLeod. Rebound Langdon. And Braswell just strips it away.
Trajan took a little bit too much time down and low there. They're going to a little semi-four corners here, or no, they're just going to go back into a high set. Duncan setting screens now.
Rutland.
Rutland saying, how is there no call on that play?
3:42 to go in the second half, 72-61. 3:42 to go, 72-61, our game summary.
Well, you can see that field goal shooting percentage. Wake still doing a tremendous job in that area. Wake Forest now, although they may be a tired club, they can look up there. It's 3:42, and for Mike Krzyzewski, you wanted to be closer than this to make that run. Wake goes back to the 2-3 zone.
Tim Duncan still on the court.
Think three.
Langdon. Wojo took it away. There he is, getting in deep.
There's what Duncan did. Said, you know, he's not going to shoot the ball off the dribble. He's going to make the pass. Duncan held his ground, made the interception.
Wojciechowski only averaging 6 points per game on the season.
But you got to look at those stats. They don't look.
And Duncan fouled from behind as he looks up at the ball and says, hey, how'd that thing get stuck up in there?
Let me put perspective, Gus, on what Wake Forest is about to do, or at least looks like they're going to do. This would be 9 in a row. We'll see the play, the high-low. Duncan goes up. Newton comes from behind and fouls him. It gets jammed in the rim. We'll see it again. But Wake Forest has won 8 in a row against Duke. The record in modern times against Duke was held by NC State. And between 73 and 76, the great David Thompson years, NC State won 9 in a row. Wake Forest has a chance to go 9 in a row now if they can win this ball game today. Carolina, way back in the 20s, won 16 in a row. I really can't count that, however, so they really have a chance in this great history of this league to do something that's only been done one other time.
Capel forcing a shot inside. McLeod for 3.
Well, Duke's got to resort to the threes now.
2 minutes and 57 seconds to go, 73-61. Now don't forget, coming up this evening on CBS, welcome home to America's Night of Television. Tonight, don't miss Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, followed by Early Edition and Walker, Texas Ranger.
Wake Forest, in the ball game that they won last year at Wake Forest, made 21 of 23 foul shots in the second half to set that game up 79-65. Not shooting as well here in the second half, but you know they're going to be going to the line a lot here in this next 2:55.
Mississippi beating Kentucky. Iowa State a winner at home in Ames. Wojo from deep.
And takes the time.
Still have 2 minutes and 49 seconds to go in the second half. And Wojciechowski makes it a 9-point game, 73-64.
Well, let's go back to Duke University with 2 losses this year that they could have won. Is this one they could come back and win? You know.
And the foul trouble so far for Wake Forest, Peral with 4.
And who don't you see on that list?
Tim Duncan.
You know, I thought he had 2 in the first half. They just credited him with 1. He still only has 1. He has not been out of the game 1 second yet today.
Now, what's the strategy behind a player like Duncan, who is a shot blocker, having the ability to not pick up fouls?
Strategy is that he's a smart basketball player. I mean, I think that on the college level, he rivals for me Larry Bird in that respect. Larry Bird had a great sense as to how to play the game. Tim Duncan from the center position has that same ability of, at a much younger age.
And Wallace reaching in.
And no player have I seen in a long time that has this disposition that he has. You know, there's an intense interest to play. As I said today, he has not been down 1 second of this game. He knows how to pace himself. He has a leadership ability on the court. I mean, he just brings the whole package.
Tim Duncan, 6 of 10 from the line, 24 points, 12 rebounds.
And I guarantee you when this game is over, he'll go over and talk to his opponents and show the great sportsmanship qualities that he has as an athlete as well.
Wojo almost traveling. Here's Capel to the hole. Reverse layup, no good. And Duncan will rip it down.
And Capel used the rim wisely that time. Had he put it up on the other side, it would have been blocked by Duncan. But that made the shot so difficult.
Wake Forest, 2 shots.
Now, after a sparkling elimination round, it's now down to the final competitors at the Ladies Professional Skating Championships. And that can be seen on CBS tomorrow starting at 3.
Well, Wake now just 2 for 6 here in the second half from the free throw line, and they're going to have to do a lot better than that the rest of the way because Duke is going to force them to be there. They're going to try to use as much clock here as possible to take as much clock off as they can just with fouling and shooting those threes.
That time, Duncan nailing both free throws. Back to an 11-point lead. Langdon had it taken away.
Now, the other thing that Wake Forest can consider doing here is, you know, Duke's going to send all 5 guys to the boards. You might send somebody long for the easy shot.
Braswell.
Example. You can see the pressure out front leaves no help back inside.
77-64. Deeks with their largest lead of the game. 2 minutes to go.
You can see after every rebound, Duke immediately going to foul. This makes the situation also, yes, where 13-point advantage now can make this a 20-point game, which really wasn't ever a 20-point game.
So looking down the road towards tournament time, and hypothetically the possible matchup between Wake and Kansas, who do you like in that game? Both teams with very, very big and dominant players up front.
Well, I think that Kansas would have one thing that Wake doesn't have, and that is a very deep team. I think that they're maybe a little bit more flexible than is Wake Forest in terms of what they can do, particularly now with Jock Bond back in the lineup. You know, they've got a guy that you can't pressure with the dribble as Duke has done so effectively against the Wake guards today, but that'd be some attraction. I imagine CBS would accept that for a final game.
Wake losing to Kentucky 83-63 in the Midwest region a season ago. Langdon rebound rejected by Duncan. Here's Capel. And a rebound by Duncan.
You know, I'm going to make a little statement about Capel's jump shot, which has not been effective. He has got his left arm, his left elbow way out extended. Very difficult to see a guy shoot well without that arm tucked in. He really has both elbows extended wide. And I think it really has taken away his effectiveness as a jump shooter. A tough thing to try to change, though, in midstream.
Wojciechowski to McLeod underneath. A rejection again by Duncan. He's got 4. And a timeout call by McLeod as he falls out of bounds.
20 seconds.
And when you look at the whole scheme of college basketball now, who do you like? I mean, Iowa State doing very well in Ames, playing in the Big 12. They lost their first game to Marquette.
They're going to be playing Kansas at Kansas. Of course, another big matchup when they go back out there to Ames. The other thing we could talk about, too, 2 undefeated teams. Has been since 1976 that they had an undefeated team in college basketball in terms of the total season, including the NCAA tournament. That's a long, long time ago. Indiana going undefeated. That great basketball club that beat Michigan in for the national championship. So could we possibly have an undefeated team in college basketball again?
Definitely a possibility, but both teams playing in very, very rough conferences, Big 12 and also the ACC. So I'd imagine that the percentages are against Price stroking the 3.
And Duke going to use all those 20-second timeouts, and it's about finished.
1:20 to go. Duke trying to climb back.
I'm Anthony Mason.
1:20 to go, 79-67.
Look at Tim Duncan sitting on the floor with his legs squatted saying, hey, if you're going to let me rest, I'm going to rest sitting down. Who was it that said never stand when you can sit and never sit when you can lay down? Is that Willie Mays?
Approaching the 1-minute mark. Wake Forest trying to improve to 12-0, 4-0 in the ACC. Rutland keeping his dribble alive, and he'll draw the foul on Ricky Price.
Well, if you're going to foul, you might as well foul him right away, Gus, and not use any clock.
And the Chevrolet most valuable players of the game are Tim Duncan. Huge game for him, 26 points, 13 boards, and Rashawn McLeod, the transfer from St. John's, 14 points and 8 rebounds. Chevrolet will donate $1,000 to each school's general scholarship fund to reward outstanding students for their academic achievements and to assist those in financial need.
Rutland today was exposed somewhat by Duke University in the fact that you see that he is not going to beat you with the dribble. The teams that got somebody can go out and pressure and make him dribble may have a chance. Now, Mike wants his team to go right back out. The timeout was called merely to stop the clock. And a coach who calls that timeout, or a team that calls that timeout, has that option.
81-69, and how much, Billy, has Duncan benefited from staying off 4 years?
Well, I think that it's matured him physically. I think that it's helped him establish other aspects of his game.
Like what?
Well, like ball handling, like shot selection, more timing on his inside maneuvers, his footwork as an offensive player. And is put in a position, I think, when he goes into the NBA to immediately be able to impact this, as opposed to some of the guys that go too early that are merely babysat on losing teams. He can help somebody win games.
Boston Celtics with a good opportunity to get the first overall selection, Rutland. And they would love nothing more than to have a classic center like Tim Duncan.
Well, one thing he won't have to worry about are all those questions that people asked him for the last 3 years, much as they did Ralph Sampson. Are you going to go out? He cannot come back. You know, one thing, all of his games are broadcast at the Virgin Islands this year. That's another block for, that's 5 points of the game.
So our final score, Wake Forest improving to 12-0, 4-0 in ACC play. They go on to beat Duke 81-69. For Billy Packer, this is Gus Johnson saying so long from Camden Indoor Stadium. Once again, our final score, 81-69.